Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are on this fine planet. This is Paul Raw back at you with the second episode of Snapshot of Peter Pan Africanism. Um, Today, we're going to bring hip hop into the fold. We're going to bring hip hop and showcase how Pan Africanism works for Black Americans typically. Now, this is typical, but this could all be coincidental. Who knows? I just like to share things that I've come across that no one speaks about. Okay. That's what I'm here for, you know, because me, myself, as a half Black American, half Black immigrant, I think I have some special insight on this issue. It's been an issue in my life since I was a kid. And no, I don't need therapy. I'm not saying that I have a problem with my Black immigrant family. It's just that everyone I've encountered in my life know or they knew what I am or what I was. So they were, I have an insider view of things many times. Even to this day, even though a lot of these people know my feelings on the topic, they know my feelings on the topic, for one, because when I was a kid, I would check them. For two, as I got older, it got even more clearer and more, refined. So I still communicate with these people, but that's neither here nor there. Because I'm doing this because Yvette and Tariq and even Tone, no matter how thorough they may seem, they may come from an emotional reactionary angle. But I like to use real life examples, from the streets. Son, where there's born blood or cud, wherever you're from, you get the slang. I like to come from a street level, at least in this episode, because everything starts in the streets. I mean, society or any type of issue doesn't start from the top down. It starts from the bottom up. That's just how things work. So the streets are where everything begins. And I think I alluded to that in my last broadcast, that the streets will rear their ugly head in a second. I mean, people of non-Black American descent who are in the streets will rear their ugly head and, soon or maybe never, who knows. I know that they're not as vocal right now is because they're criminals. So that means their credibility is in question. That means once they rear their ugly head or come up and try to be too vocal, people ask questions like, what have you done in your life? What did you do to harm the Black American community? Or what have you done to help the Black American community? And in most cases, from the street angle or the street side, I know this personally, it was really done. What they did really hurt us more than it helped us. And that's just a fact of life. I mean, we all know the crack epidemic. Come on, man. There's a guy who's alleged to come from my lineage on my Black immigrant side who flooded Brooklyn with drugs. It's alleged. I don't know. And I don't even like to dabble into this subject because I'm not into the streets and these guys are quite crafty. Okay. So all due respect, I show nothing but love for everybody. I'm not saying I love you guys, but I respect you gangster. But they know what I'm saying is true. Okay. I think some of them have really come forward and expressed regret, just like Freeway Ricky has expressed regret, because we have people on our side that did some things that they regret. Some are a little too egregious and a little too stubborn to admit their wrongdoings, but so I'm saying that to say that I'm not singling out Black immigrants when it comes to the street level, because we all participated. It's just that their participation is kept in the shadows, because you know how in the media, if a non-Black American gets accepted to 5 universities, they just broadcast it to the world, or the first Black president is non-Black American, they broadcast it to the world, So, but that the street element is kept in the back, is in the shadows, even though they make up a larger portion of the people in their ranks than the ones on the upside legitimately. That's just my opinion. I don't have the facts or figures to to prove this, but that's just what I've seen in my life. Because the people on the street level are the people who are less skilled, and they're more unskilled people than skilled people. That's just a reality of life. That's a part of every group. Like you had your Mayor Giuliani, but you also had your Gambinos. There weren't as many Giulianis as there were Gambino crime members. And again, all due respect, I'm not saying anything against the street level. I respect you, gangster. I'm just using you as an example. All love, baby, calm down. But let's keep this moving. So I like to use these examples to show what was brewing beneath the surface that's finally come to light. And today I'm going to use hip hop, like I told you, because I used to tell people about this problem a long time ago when I was a kid. Like I said, no more than 10 minutes ago, 8 minutes ago, I used to check people. So I always would check people, and then some of them would go back and like tell my brother. Like my brother, I will hope one day to get him on here, interview him, and you'll hear us, and you'll hear the stories if he has the heart. He's a coward, but that's neither here nor there. So they'll go back to my brother and say some things, and my brother would try to check me, and then I would tell my brother what happened, and my brother would go, "Yeah, you do have a point." You get what I'm saying? So I would, if like, I've known about this problem for so long, but a lot of times people will brush me off. And like, I bet if I ran across Yvette, Tone, or Tariq back in 1995, they would probably brush me off as a hater. That's what my brother would do initially as well. But then once I explained myself, he understood me, because I was a child. And when you come across these people when they're children, just like every other child, they're a lot more honest. They're not as tactful as us adults. So that's just my experience. And I'm going to approach this from a focus not only on entertainment, but I could also take it to the high levels of executive suites. I could take it to examples in business where this has occurred. But today I'm coming from an entertainment aspect because, of course, these people are more well known. But if we're talking about things like hip hop, I have too many examples to count. Now, of course, Black Americans have jerked each other. That's a part of life. No one's, being accusatory of any particular group, but only an idiot would import enemies. Only an idiot. And that's the thing about a lot of Black immigrants. And today we're going to deal with Caribbeans. A lot of them were cutthroat in their home country. And that's how they were able to come to America. Because coming to America was never, and most likely still isn't, an easy task, especially for Black immigrants. So their cutthroatiness was necessary, or it was a necessary evil, that is. And we had to do things to get out of tight spots as well. It's not like we don't understand his mindset. We understand it. It's just with us, we don't understand how you can continue this behavior even after you achieve your goal. We feel like once you reach a certain point, you start to realize, you don't need to behave that way, So let's start this. I'm already 14 minutes in, and damn, but I have to factor in the countdown. But still, that's 9 minutes of just talking. I appreciate your time and your patience. Hit the like button, subscribe. I just looked at the analytics last night for my last post, and you guys are actually watching it all the way through, and I appreciate that. It's really like, I expect you to skip through like I skip through things, because I'll press that forward arrow in a second on somebody. I don't have time for that shit. But hey, I like to thank you for being here. Of course, we have to start with the obligatory FBI fair use disclosure. Please respect my tutelage. Please let me share with the people. And today I have a really deep suspicion that I'm going to get flagged because I'm using something from Vladimir, DJ Vladimir. You need to stop calling him Vlad. Okay, call him his full name, DJ Vladimir. Okay, that's who he is. I'm not going to say any more on him. I can make a video on him, and I actually did make a podcast episode a long time ago on Anchor. I may post those recordings. You never know. But bottom line is, I really suspect DJ Vladimir will flag this video, but I don't care. I'm going to do this. Let's do it, baby. But here goes the full disclosure. You see it, baby. That full. It's out there and open. Fair use. Yes. Let's check this mic. Oh, I see myself. Oh. I think this is good. We're coming in good. We're coming in hot. So let's bring up this video. Oh, today we're dealing with Brother Marquise of the 2 Live crew. Originally he's from Rochester, New York, I believe so. So I can pretty much assume with almost absolute certainty that he is Black American. At his age and where he comes from, Black immigrants weren't really going to Rochester at that time. That's just a reality. Like, like Rick James is Black American. He's from Buffalo. That's all for New Yorkers. That's all upstate. It's all the same to us. So when you are up there, even to this day, if you go up there are more Black Americans than there are Black immigrants. But there are Black immigrants there. But for him, I can safely assume he's Black American, and judging by what he said in this video, he's pretty much Black American. But we're going to deal with him today, and let's start this off. Let's start this off right now. Let's do this. Check the volume. There we go.
I deal with real guys and, real shit. I didn't know how to balance that. I lost interest in the whole Luke shit basically after the Move Something album. Luke was a very, very nasty guy. He was a very, very nasty guy, and he didn't make no bones about it. Here they come. They must be hungry. They must want some money. Just all kind of shit just behind our back and just basically in our face. So I was really not fucking with Luke. That was Mr. Mix's thing. I was more loyal to Mr. Mix than Luke. I don't remember asking Luke for, I never hardly asked Luke for anything unless it was royalty time and they would come and make me go ask Luke for some money because it was royalty time. And then Luke would be like, well, since Mark is man enough to come ask me for the money, I'm going to give him more money than I'm giving y'all. And that would make them look at me crazy. And Luke was always the only time that me and Luke ever had a conversation. It was when fuckery was involved. It's when I'm going to give you $2 million. Fuck Mr. Mix and Chinaman off and come over here with me. But I wasn't doing that. I wasn't turning for no money. I wasn't even thinking about Luke. He wasn't even on my radar. I didn't even have to ask him for nothing. I didn't fucking need him. So by the time all of this shit came around and all of those feelings and everything, kind of dissolved and you can kind of see the light. It's like those 5 or 7 years, I'm fucked by not fucking with him. You know what I mean? So it kind of makes me feel like, I should have screwed everybody in the group and got with him and done that and it would have been okay, but I didn't do it. And I'm calling myself a stand-up guy and boom, 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 boom. And now everybody in the group is trying to fuck me around, including Mr. Mix and Chinaman. So, it is what it is, man. My loyalty turned into stupidity. And I thought that I was being smart at that time, which I was being stupid. But it all comes from, I come from a single mother. I had no male figures in my life, and this shit was new and it blew up so fucking fast. I'm down there in Miami. It's a culture shock. That shit happened so fucking fast, man. It happened so fucking fast. And by the time it got started and by the time it ended, it was done. It was fucking done.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. So let's break this down real quick. So he starts off with Luke's tactics. And again, this could all be coincidental. Okay, it could all be coincidental. But Luke's tactics are Caribbean tactics. I dealt with this growing up. And not just with my family, with friends, associates. You just deal with it. They always create a reason to mistreat you. And that's why Marquis said Luke would say, "Oh, here they come begging." You know, Luke would set them up for failure. You know, even though he knows he's in the wrong, but he will make it seem like he's the good guy. But he's not a good guy. He's a piece of shit. That's what he is. But that's a part of the tactics they use. And that's also a part of that street element. You know, it's a street person's strategy. So it's not to single out anybody. It just comes from basic human nature, essentially. But we were so kind-hearted and, and understanding that we let them play us. And it happened on a personal and professional level. And they know this. They know this themselves, And that's why that's why Marquise pointed out how Luke would use him as a way to play the divide and conquer game. By giving Marquise more money, he now has set up an adversarial role between Marquise and his other group members or the other record label staff. So it's like a little game. As a part of it. It's really basic knowledge. It's nothing complex here. It's not rocket science. But that is a game that a lot of Black immigrants play on us, particularly, or at least in this case, Caribbeans. At least in this case. And and honestly, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror. And this includes myself. When you give that undying loyalty, you start to look like the village idiot. That's what you start to look like. And they know this. And they know that's our weakness. And that's why they're surprised about our current awakening, because they're used to us turning the other cheek. And that's just not just based on Christian belief, even though a lot of it is, but it's also just a part of us as a group, and they prey on it. But let's keep it moving. I'm going to go fast through this, or try to go fast through this video by skipping to parts. I'm not going to play it all the way through, especially since DJ Vladimir will flag this most likely. So let's go.
Well, and then in 2017, Fresh Kid Ice, aka Chinaman, ended up dying.
Right.
Were you in contact with him up to that point?
Yep.
What did he die from exactly?
Died from complications. I think he had renal failure. I think his organs just shut down. Basically died from hurt and a lot of pain. He just couldn't take it no more, man. He was actually fighting Weinberger, trying to get that shit back. And some would say that while he was in the hospital, sedated off of medication and whatever, that Weinberger slipped some kind of paperwork in on him. But that was his whole thing. Me, basically, I knew he was going to die. I thought that he was going to die years before he actually did. So I told him, I said, man, the only thing that's going to save you, man, is to get out in front of the fans. You need to work, because if you keep sitting around here, and we might not have you. So let's go to work up under all of these circumstances with Mr. Weinberger and how he tries to handle everything. And let's just go to work to keep you going. And that's what I called myself trying to do for him. But in the midst of that, I'm steady getting, he steady trying to fuck me off too. But I am so glad that I allowed myself to try to help this man and to be there with this man in his last days, and to always tell him that I loved him in spite of how he might have treated me or the things that he might have said to me. I was always trying to play the bigger person, as well as with him and Luke,
Well, he was 53 years old when he died.
Right.
And one of the things that really shook me up is that you said that he died broke.
Yes, he did. And one of the things that shook me up is Mr. Weinberger and his associates, the people that his employees, they would say, here at Little Joe Records, our idea for Two Live Crew is to live broke and to die with nothing. And I really kind of wanted to get out of character and kind of, wanted to do something, all kind of violent thoughts come in your head. This guy's talking to you like that, and he's a woman, basically. He's everything but a cross dresser.
Okay, we're gonna stop there. Actually, let's continue. Let's see what he says.
And he's talking to me like that, and because he can do it, but you it just was so crazy to me because I couldn't trust Chinaman either, and I'm trying to save his life. And Mr. Weinberger is basically shitting on both of us. And it came to a point before then when Luke sold the shit that we didn't have any choice but to go with Weinberger because.
Okay, let's stop there actually. But yeah, he made a key point. I'm glad I let it play. But let's get into Fresh Kid Ice. Because Luke wasn't alone in his mistreatment of Marquise. Fresh Kid Ice played a role too, along with DJ Mix. I don't know Mix's background, but he is from LA, so he could be Belizean. Who knows? And that's not to sound like a particular person who just, I'll say his name. I don't give a fuck. It's not sound like Tariq or anything and become suspicious of everybody. But yes, there was a heavy population of Belizeans in LA at that time. And that's just a reality. I mean, they originally came from the British Honduras. That's what it was called. Okay. But that's neither here nor there. But let's stay on Fresh Kid Ice, who we know. Like he said, he died of renal failure. That means he was most likely an alcoholic. And that's, I'm going to serve up a poor segue. But the irony of that is I've come across so many Caribbeans in the Northeast since I came back who try to label people as like alcoholics and drunkards and crackheads. And they do that so they could, discredit you, and that's just the irony. I'll just throw that out there. Again, let's say my favorite word, the irony. But yeah, he died of renal failure. It wasn't just, due to a broken heart, like Marquise alluded to. And he still sounds like the village idiot, because that's what he sounds like. I mean, in all respect, due to the brother, but look at him. He has some type of blister or something on his face. He looks like he's been through a lot. He looks like he abuses alcohol. And that's not to say anything because we all have our weaknesses. Shit, I have no problem with a sip here and there once or twice a month. I understand. But at the same time, he's most likely down on his luck, but he's still showing like, how can I put it? Like this undying like loyalty. Man, fuck that shit. I'm not playing that shit. I'm really not. But to get back to Fresh Kid Ice, because that's what we talked about here when he spoke about, what Fresh Kid Ice did. And he's going to say more. I'm going to play it. But let's bring up Fresh Kid Ice. Hold on. Yes. Thank you. So right now, what you need to do is like, subscribe, share. I know I most likely need some background music to break up the dry, quiet, silent parts. But hey, work with me, people. Work with me. Where is this? Okay. Damn, I thought I had it set up. Hold on. Oh, there. No, hold on. Damn it. Okay. Hey, here we go. So this is Fresh Kid Ice. Growing up, we all knew what he was. He's half Asian, half black, obviously from his picture. And that's very common in the Caribbean. It's very common. And I know this because I've been told I have Asian ancestry too. And that's not to get into that whole, triracial, mix shit. I'm not into that shit. But this is just to tell you that it's normal there in their countries. It's quite normal, And they even have like some type of saying. I think they call it China Royal is a slang, and that's to indicate that you have that ancestry. And, you know, even if, you know, the person is dark as hell, you know, when I say dark as hell, I'm not color struck. I'm just saying they're dark skinned. But they're considered China royal. And I could give you some examples. I think Naomi Campbell is Caribbean. She's part Asian. Tyson Beckford is definitely Caribbean. He's definitely part Asian. He's came out years ago. And that's why they have such striking appearances or images, is because, you know, that was for us when they came to us, at least Tyson Beckford and Naomi Campbell, there was something new to us because we have a lot of half Black American, half Asian people, and especially after the Vietnam and Korea War, but just not as much as them. And I know this, I only know about those people really, or the half Black Americans, half Asians, because I grew up in California essentially. And there's a lot of them out there, you know. And you'll see, and just like I said with Tyson Beckford and Naomi Campbell, or at least Caribbeans who are dark skinned, but they're called China Royal or whatever. You have people out west like that. You know, I used to, you know, be surprised because I would meet their grandparent or maybe even their parent, and and they were Asian. It was, you know, but here we go. So back to Fresh Kid Ice. We got him right here. And just for clarification, to make sure I'm not wrong, his name is Wong. No, his full name is Christopher Wong One. That's his full name. And Mr. Wong One is from Trinidad and Tobago. There we go. See that right there. And his family's of Trinidadian Chinese ancestry. And it's not only just Asian or Chinese, and that's because I'm not singling them out, you know, and I know I'm not scared of some type of anti-Asian hate claim. These are just all facts. Give a damn. But let me get to it. It's not just Asians. You also have a group called Indo-Caribbeans. That's pretty much people of Caribbean descent, Black descent with Indian ancestry. The most popular person right now or to date is Nicki Minaj. I knew that when I first saw her. I was like, oh, she must be Indo-Caribbean. I just knew on sight, especially the way she was built. You know, that skinny ass body. You know, they're very oddly shaped a lot of times, and they know this shit too. And this, you know, some of it had to do with malnourishment. Some of it just had to do with genetic markers. That's just what it is. Okay, I don't give a fuck. It's what it is. You know, they have a lot of narrow booty women. You know, Patra didn't take off for a reason. She's just a narrow booty woman. Very beautiful woman, but just with a narrow booty. And you know, I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, we got that out of the way. And yeah, I will delve into that topic maybe in the future, like the body types and what I believe is the reason for the popularization of BBLs is a lot of them did that. And I say that because I'm in New York. And before I came to New York, I didn't see like fake asses in California. When I came here, you see them like all over. It's like, God damn. And I know they all can't afford to go to a legal licensed practitioner. So they're going to the raggediest Motel Sixes by LaGuardia or over there in Newark by the airport. Is like, man, but that's neither here nor there, man. Let me keep it moving, man. Damn, I'm already 30 minutes in, man. I want to make this shit short. Hold on. Let me do this shit. Take this shit down. Take this shit down, cuz. Or son B. Let's see. Let's do this. Present. Okay. Bring this back up. Get Marquise going again. Because this brother, if you ever hear this, I'm here for you, brother. But you also need to go get some therapy for this shit. You need a hug. But I love you, brother.
We were trying to follow the music. And we were trying to follow the music, and we were trying to build a legacy off of all of that that we had already built, you know, and Luke would blackball us on the black side of the business, and Weinberger would do the same on the white side of the business. So 2 Live Crew, yeah, we got pimped, we got screwed, we were just pawns. We were just basically pawns, and I'm just here to say that. I mean,
okay, I got to pause it there because I want to point out, you know, how, you know, he said Luke blackballed them on the black side of the game, and then the white manager blackballed them on the white side of the game. Did I say that right? Luke, black side, white guy, white side. There we go. So yeah, that is another game, you know, and I'm going to get into that in a second, but that's a game Caribbeans play. They are racially schizophrenic. That's what I've labeled it. Because I've even said this to my family. I'm like, I've said this to them, like to their face and online and on the phone. Like, you are racially schizophrenic. It's like 1 minute you're talking about pro-black this, pro-black that, but then you'll side with the white man and do me dirty. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't see the conflict of interest there. Like, you don't see the contradiction. That's a better way to say it. You don't see the contradiction in your approach. But, you know, let's get back to Fresh Kid Ice, or let's get back to Marquise, excuse me. But I wanted to point that out, and I'm going to speak on that a little bit more later on.
I mean, and you know, I look at myself sometimes. It's like, how can I be so fucking smart at being so damn stupid, dealing with these people and staying in that situation for so long, knowing that it wasn't healthy.
See, that's what I said. That village idiot syndrome. That's what I'll label it. Is the village idiot syndrome. So if anybody else uses that saying, you know where that comes from. I just dubbed it. It came to mind because, again, I don't think of this shit. The only reason I'm going over this clip is because I want to, you know, keep up a steady pace in terms of my output. And I remember seeing this video, and I remember being suspicious of Luke for his mistreatment of everybody, not just Marquise. I'm talking about Dr. Dre. I'm talking about Trick Daddy. So many people. And yeah, I don't think I've said this, but Luke is Caribbean. Let's bring that up. Hold on. I want to, you know, I don't think I said that, but Luke is, I believe, half Bahamian, half Jamaican. Hold on. Let me make sure. Oh, no. What I need to do. Just for clarification's sake. Yes, Mr. Luther Roderick Campbell. That's another thing. You have to pay attention to names, man. If I saw him and he tried to pass off as a Black American, as soon as I saw that middle name, this right here, I would have asked him some questions. I wouldn't have been too direct because I'm not the Mr., you know, hunt people down, you know, like I'm the Gestapo. I'm not the, you know, Black American Gestapo or the ADOS Gestapo or the FBA Gestapo, but this name would have alerted me to a few things because the way they would pronounce is Roderick. I'm bad at impressions, but let me see. Because I know how to say the other infamous one. Frederick. Hey, Frederick. But let's go, man. I make myself laugh. I know. So Luther Campbell, born December 22nd, 1960, Miami. And Miami's a hot spot for this crap, as you all know already. His mother's Bahamian, his father's Jamaican. Yeah, I knew I was right. And this is something I've known for years. This is something we've all known because I have family in Florida. And we would visit down there, and they will always not play their music. I mean, not play Luke's music like during like the gatherings. But as soon as the kids broke off and did their thing, yeah, they played it like crazy. But the elders would hint to like that's just a part of, you know, that Caribbean culture. They didn't even know how to really word how they felt, but they knew like this is what they do, you know, and that's not to disparage anyone because we got a lot of booty clapping going on too, and there's nothing wrong with some booty clapping. unless you don't like booty clapping. And if you don't, then I have to ask some other questions, which are none of my business. But here we go. So yeah, for Luke, we knew what he was. That's my point. We just knew what he was, like immediately. I knew what he was, at least when I first came across, Luke. I could tell because he said certain things where even though he has a country accent, I could just pick up on just these little giveaways, the little nuances. And that's just me because I had to learn this to survive in Brooklyn. But that's neither here nor there. Let's keep on going, man. Damn, I talk too much. Damn it. And no, that's not a form of self-deprecation. I'm just saying, nigga. Shit. Let me keep it moving. Okay, stop screen. Share screen. Bring this shit back up. Bring back my brother Marquise. Oh, damn. Let's keep this moving.
But if I would have cut Chinaman off, I think he would have died a long time ago. Basically. And I could have been shitty and been like, fuck you, just go somewhere and die because I found him. He was sleeping in the van. Chinaman was sleeping in the van with a bad arm, on medication, not healthy at all. So I'm like, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you up here to Weinberg. I want you to get you some money. And for damn near a couple of weeks straight, he was crying, he wants to do an album. I'm like, I'm not fucking with you with an album. Just go up here and get some money from him and use your disability and, make him sympathetic to your issue, get you some money and fuck him. I'm not doing an album. So anyway, Chinaman was doing bad, crying and all of that. So I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll sign on with you to do an album. And I'm like, I know you're going to fuck me around. This is your MO. This is what you do. So I helped him get some money to get himself off of the street with Weinberger. And he got over there back in cahoots with Weinberger and fucked me around again.
And bam, and you say, God damn. Oh, man. See, he fucked him over. The village idiot syndrome. He knew he was going to get fucked over. But Fresh Kid Ice fucked them over again. Again, they take our kindness as a weakness. But as you can see, even though Fresh Kid Ice fucked them over, he fucked himself over in the end. And that's something I want to say to all my Black immigrant brothers and sisters, in this case, Caribbean brothers and sisters. And you guys are literally our cousins. Distant cousins, but cousins, literally. Africans are super distant cousins, but you're not. You're distant. When you fuck us, I mean, this goes for anybody. When you fuck over anybody, is eventually going to come back to bite you in the ass. Most times. Now, I'm not a religified person, and I'm not sitting up here as some type of morality police, but at the same time, he died broke, even though he fucked over Marquise. And that's what will happen a lot of times with this dilemma we have before us. It's eventually going to bite you in the ass. And I've seen this personally in my own life, But again, Brother Marquise was betrayed, and he still, like, he just said that if he wanted to get him healthy, or he helped them get back into the business, and then he fucked them over in the end. Our endless kindness may be our noose. Who knows? I just know that there is a cutoff point for everything in life. There's always a cutoff point. And so let's keep this moving, man. Man, damn it. Let me finish this shit. Okay, like I said, I'm going to speed through this shit because, I don't have all day, nigga. Here we go.
And he gets off on that kind of shit. They get off on it. Luke gets off on making people's lives miserable as well. Loved it. And I don't mean to bash Luke or anything like that. Thought he was a great businessman. He was a great marketer at that time right there. But we just was in Florida fucking with Luke to get used, basically. Just used the shit out of us. And all he had to do on any interview or whatever is to say, yeah, I told the guys I loved them and we were brothers and I fucked them once I got him under contract. But basically, my gripe is I'm coming out after 35 years. You can say that I'm snitching or not or whatever, but I'm coming up after 35 years. That last thing that we did in...
Okay, pause it there. See? The village idiot syndrome. He still gives Luke props. He's still like, and I understand why he does that because I do it myself. I most likely have done it in this broadcast and the last two broadcasts. As Black Americans, we've been taught to be delicate with our words due to the intense environment in which we were raised. You know, and that's not just based on, you know, racism. That's just based on living in our communities sometimes. Some of us live in hoods, okay? Not all of us, so I don't want to stereotype us, but yeah, you have to be delicate with your words. But in this case, with Luke, he just said he waited 30 fucking years. Nah, nigga, fuck the delicacies, man. Get at that motherfucker, man. Fuck that shit, man. And if Luke ever hears this, man, fuck that shit. If I was Marquise, nigga, I'm not going to say what I would do live on air. I was raised better than that. But yeah, fuck that shit. And honestly, being that village idiot shit, man, fuck that shit. Because there's one thing a bully will always respect, and that's anger. Always. I don't care how big the bully is or where the bully's from or how many friends and the bully has or what gang he's a member of. There's one thing he will respect, and that's anger. You know? And in this type of situation, I would prefer anger over despair, over meek and calm. Fuck that shit. And let me show you something. They put like everything I'm saying is common knowledge. I'm not saying anything deep. I'm not Mr. Smart Guy. I'm a slow motherfucker from Brownsville. But they put shit in media so you could pick up on those things and maybe apply them when necessary, because anger is something you have to control. But when it's, what is it called? Righteous anger, righteous indignation, man, that is a beautiful tool when it's done properly, not just going out here shooting and killing people, but when you use your mouth and your brains with just an angry angle. I don't even know how to phrase it, but when you are like clear and you're very precise, but there's anger attached to it, man. Let me check this out. Let me show you this. Again, fair use, especially right now. Fair use. But yeah, let's check this out. Oh, man, come on. There we go. Okay, man. Fair use. I'm going to say that so motherfuckers understand. Here we go. You see it. Fair use.
Look at me. I'm no leader. I never was. I'm never gonna. Go.
You're right. You're not the one I want. I'm wasting my time.
Fuck you. You fucking machine.
Better.
Oh, you were just digging with me?
Anger is more useful than despair.
What?
Basic psychology is among my subroutines.
You heard him. Anger is better than despair. And you just heard what he said. Basic psychology. So, Marquise, you are John Connor. Black Americans who have been wrong, you are John Connor. You may feel like you're not worthy, but fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Somebody's fucking with you. Fuck that shit. Go blamp on them. That's what we used to call it, blamping on them. Got to blamp on a motherfucker sometimes. Blamp on his ass and see what's up. Fuck that shit. You know? And think about a lot of black immigrants, especially Caribbeans, they know this to be true because they did that shit in Brooklyn. They know this. But let's keep this moving, man. Damn, I'm 50 minutes into this shit. I can't believe this shit. Let's bring Brother Marquise back up and get through this shit. Okay, so let's go to the next part.
To a shit show, and you took that and made it about yourself. That ain't cool. You've been lying for 30-something fucking years. This is not your music. You did not write all of the songs. You did not go to the Supreme Court by yourself. So I'll let you say that for a long fucking time. I'll let you have that because I don't even fuck with you, but bruh, you're going to have to put some respect on my dude's name. He didn't fucking die. He didn't die for nothing, even though he died with nothing. And you still over there trying to make a shit show off of this man's death by dishonoring him. And when they gave you a whole platform to honor him and you didn't. So I'm upset about that. I'm definitely upset about that. Chinaman crossed us to be with you and he died and you still fucking him over.
You heard him. He called him Chinaman. That's on Fresh Kid Ice. You know, Chinaman was a word, excuse me, for all my Asian people out there who may think that's anti-Asian, that was a phrase we all use along, not all, but many people use, especially on the East Coast. You know, I didn't hear it out West. I can't recall hearing it out West, but on the East Coast, people use that phrase. But you heard what he just said. He said Luke shot at him. And I think in another interview, one of the segments, he talked about that. Luke shot at him with blanks to scare him, to fuck with his mind, you know? And that goes back to what I just said. That was Luke testing him. And in that moment, Marquise was supposed to just show absolute anger. Let him know, like, I don't play that shit. You got to push that line. And I'm going to get, that reminds me of another hip hop example. I'm jotting it down right now. Damn it. That's one thing I learned in Brooklyn growing up from certain instances or incidents. You got to push that line. Let them know you ain't playing. And actually, you know, they will respect you, man. Because that's what's so funny about this whole situation. They will respect you once you let them know what time it is. That's just how people work, you know. But he remained silent for too long. And honestly, he said 30 years. That's most likely exactly how much time it took Black Americans to finally say something. If I really look at the timeline, because the first person, let's be honest, to really ring the bell was Yvette. No, that's not true. Let me actually backtrack. Yvette wasn't the first. The first person really of Black American descent, at least I believe he's of Black American descent, is a guy called the Black Patriarch. He was one of the first, and he's really underground. He's never used his voice. All he does is just post clips and use like fucking captions and shit to say shit. And I think from what I've gathered, he's from the Bay. So he's really not too familiar with this topic, but he's smart enough to pick up on shit. And yeah, so he was one of the first. So if I look at the timeline roughly, you know, because the Black Patriarch was maybe the first time, and another guy, I forgot this other guy, Alquan. Alquan, if you ever hear this, you know who this is, homie. What's up? He was one of the first too. So if I look at the timeline, yeah, it took about 30 years for us to finally say something. Because when they popped up on the scene, that was maybe in the 2010s. So 30 years, that's since from the 1980s until those guys came. And then you have to add in Yvette because she's really the one that got people's attention. And I honestly believe she got people's attention because she had that that Southern auntie vibe, you know, that cool Southern auntie vibe, that auntie that's coming to the party like, who got my Cavassier? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Turn on that music. Well, up, and she's doing all the latest dances, even though she's old as fuck. But that's the reason she was able to gain so much attention. You know, I've said this to other people in other live streams. That's why she was able to, you know, galvanize a force of people. That's just in my opinion. And also she was buoyed by Tone's data, you know, so she was able to really get people to understand her, you know. So going back to my point, so it's been about 30 years pretty much. But yeah, but you hear Marquise, he's talking about what Luke did to keep him in check. And then he, you know, spoke about, you know, he knew he was getting fucked over. And he's also saying, hey, you can't take credit for everything. You get it? It's like you let this man go on for so long that he gets all the credit for that Supreme Court justice ruling for what we have today, which is something I wish didn't exist, but all this bullshit rap. And that's not to knock the new niggas, but some of it is garbage. But there's garbage in every generation. Let's be clear. I know my ass talks. I love you. Like, share, subscribe. But I would like to say, if you listen to me, you will follow along. Like what the E40 said, he was like, I'm not rapping too fast. You're listening too slow. But here we go.
You know what I'm saying? So that shit right there got to stop, bro. I know all kind of shit about you. You shot at me. You pulled the gun on me. You beat women. A woman beat your ass. You know? They've been told me a long time ago, yeah, Luke gonna fuck you, but stay with him. He gonna make you famous. So I
See. I think that's what he said. I don't know if he said it in the last part. But yeah, he said Luke shot at him. He's a woman beater and all this other shit. But you didn't say this shit a long time ago. And I understand why you didn't say it a long time ago. Because, you know, it's business, baby. In business, you have to show some discretion. That's how life is. At least in business, in the workplace, you can't sit up here and whine about every goddamn thing. You got to be flexible. Got to work it out. But hey, man, he waited this long. But hey, more power to him. But like I said, man, you may need some therapy, homie. You need some Black American therapy, most likely. You know, if you're still in Miami, you need to get out of that motherfucker, most likely. You know, but that's another story. Let's keep this moving. In this part, oh God, this part. Here we go. This shit is, oh God. Woo! Oh.
He was never shit to be. He was never really, my mama worked for Luke. Luke fired my mama. He was always an asshole. Luke was always a fucking asshole. Here they come.
My nigga, he said he fired his mama, dog. Oh shit. And look at this. This is like almost a year old, this video. And nobody's come out and spoke about this, man. But he said Luke fired his mama, nigga. And in a way, you gotta look at it from Luke's angle too. Can I really respect somebody who mistreated their mama? I mean, that was the wrong way to say it. Can I really respect someone if they let me mistreat their mama? I think I said it right both times. But here we go, man. Now I know why, like, people who have podcasts and whatever get in trouble, because you talk and you just lose track. But here we go, man. Yeah, he fired his mama, nigga. Let me tell you something, man. My mother had 2 boys. And at no time did I ever hear about my mama having a problem with anybody at all growing up, that is. I never heard of a problem. I don't know about before I was born at all. But I'm sure my mama let people know she had 2 sons. Because, you know, if she would have pressed that button, motherfucker, fucking with the wrong niggas. Shit. But yeah. If you fire my mama, do something to my mama, nigga, I'm gonna beat your ass. I ain't playing that shit, dog. I'm not playing with you, dog. I'm not playing with you. I'm just not playing with you. But he fired his mama, nigga. Fired his mama. This nigga still fucked with him, most likely. Yo, man, I love you, Marquise, but yeah, get some help, man. Please, brother. Because, you know, and that's the thing about it, man. Marquise is really talking about is a problem in the Northeast. It's been a long-standing problem, and people know this because I've even spoken to my Black American cousins out here, and they know it's a problem. But several of them are on the street level, and that goes back to my point. And pretty much they made some concessions or they got agreements. In fact, my cousins have kids with with a lot of Black immigrants, and my mother was essentially the trailblazer for that shit, by the way. But going back to my cousins, they know this is a problem in the Northeast, you know. But I think what happened was that a lot of Black Americans in the Northeast thought they would look at our kindness and understand it and eventually show some decency or decorum and evolve. But that hasn't happened. And that's why we're at this point. And you know, we always thought they would have a come to Jesus moment, you know, especially after incidents like Luima and Diallo and many other incidents. It's like we thought they would come to the light and really like check themselves. But there's one thing that we all have to realize. This is just based on human nature. Unrestricted power is almost too intoxicating for someone to overcome. That's just what it is. And right now we're trying to, you know, eliminate that unrestricted power and really be vocal and let them know you need to stop. No more. This is over. Let's stop. Okay. But yeah, man. Again, like, share, subscribe, and thank you if you're still around, you know, for this second episode of Snapshot of Peter Pan Africanism. But let's finish this off. This nigga fired his mama, nigga. Let's finish this shit.
They begging. I'ma cross them. I'ma brainwash them.
All right,
They beg.
Let's take that back.
He was always an ass.
Let's take
he
that
was
back.
never really. My famous. Oh, they've been told me a long time ago. Yeah, Luke gonna fuck you, but stay with him. He gonna make you famous. So he was never shit to be. He was never really. My mama worked for Luke. Luke fired my mama. He was always an asshole. Luke was always a fucking asshole. Here they come. They begging. I'ma cross him. I'ma brainwash him. He's always bragging. I put the roots on him. So if you West Indian or Bahamian, you know what that is. You take your picture to the botanical and they, blow some vodka on you with some chicken blood and shit and supposed to freeze your life. He was into that kind of fuck shit. So I don't know if he had them kind of like satanic rituals going on back then or whatever. But
okay, let's pause it there. You saw him bring it up. He mentioned it in his interview. He brought this up. Again, I don't think about this shit. I ain't got time for this shit. But he brought it up. And that's why I really suspect he's Black American, because he highlighted it. Because if he was Caribbean, he wouldn't even highlight it. You know, he would just, leave it alone. But yeah, but you just heard him. He said Luke used to talk about putting a root on him. And that's not just something that's restricted to Caribbeans. They have voodoo. We have hoodoo. Why do you think that scene in The Color Purple was so like impactful? The scene where we all know the scene. And as you listen, you know what the fuck I'm about to say, most likely. When Celie did that little two-finger thing, like the pitchfork thing, he said, nothing's gonna go right for you until you do right by me. That's our hoodoo. So we got that shit too. But we do it with people who've done us wrong and shit, most likely. I don't know. I'm not into that shit. But yeah, so we have that in our culture too. But Luke is using it to fuck people over. And honestly, it's a very true practice in that community. And they know this. They know this. They know this shit. But like I said, I pointed to The Color Purple. That's a perfect example of our mysticism, our calling on the ancestors and spirits. And by the way, I may do a movie review on The Color Purple, because that's another thing. We need to do a lot of straightening on a lot of this shit that we see, or at least the shit we grew up in media, because they still play that shit. And nobody has really done a deep analysis, at least in a video. They have articles and literature on it, but they don't have videos really. And I may do that shit. Let me know in the comment section if I should. And again, not to serve up a poor segue, there's still a poll in my community tab that I need people to vote on because I want to do that video, but I just need to know which one. And I need to know if there's interest. Shit. Anyway, Brother Marquise is like most Black Americans, man. They're just realizing they've been duped. And let's finish this off.
But he used to always say that.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
and
with all the
it does
drama-
make me look stupid for allowing myself to go through the whole thing by trying to keep Two Live Crew's legacy going by following our music over there to Mr. Weinberger. And Luke would tell everybody that, okay, we were too Black, too strong until the bankruptcy came. They sided with the cracker. That's Luke's words for the white man, cracker. Yeah, we sided with the cracker, but you sold the shit to him. And then you're going to turn around and tell everybody in the Black side of the business that we helped the white man take your shit and then run over there with you. You wanted to get rid of us way before Little Joe came into the fucking picture. You was offering me money to break up the group. And then when I wouldn't do it, you all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. I'd come in to get money. You get on your loudspeaker in your office and just fuck me around in front of your employees and just everybody. So our whole thing with you was to get him down here to
Bam. You see what I said earlier? That's that racial schizophrenia I told you about. It's like they don't know which side to choose, but they will pick whichever side benefits them. And that's that cutthroatedness that they came here with. That's what they came with. And that's what they still practice for the most part. And they do it among each other too. It's not just to us. They do it among each other too. So any Caribbean out there, you know what I'm talking about. And for the ones who've been done wrong, hey man, you could be an ally most likely. Tell your story, tell the truth. Like I would get one of my relatives if I can. Actually, I most likely can because he's asked me for money. But I wouldn't pay him to lie. I would just like let him know, like, tell the story how this person took your money after you paid for the car. Like you wanted to buy the car, they took your money and they never gave you the car. They do it to each other. It's like it's kind of like comical because niggas fall for it. I don't fall for that shit. I haven't fall, man. I did fall for that shit when I first moved back east. I just didn't know it got so out of control out here. But after I picked up on shit, nigga, man, those Western Unions disappeared, motherfucker. You know, now they have Cash App and shit. But yeah, they're definitely not getting a Cash App out this motherfucker. But yeah, see, that racial schizophrenia is what they do. Like in one breath, they'll say, they'll be all pro-Black and shit. And in the next breath, they're Caribicoons. They'll fucking sell you out like nobody's business. And that's actually business. Hey, that's a good little play on words. They'll sell you out like nobody's business, but that's business. Business is very in business and politics. There's no such thing as permanent friends or enemies. That was an old quote. Don't know where it's from, but here we go. There's no such thing. So that's what they do, in business and politics, But we come at it from another angle. We come at it from a spiritual angle. Like these are our brothers, like a connection. At least we feel that spiritual connection. Because when you meet these people, at least for me, when I first met them, and I'll tell stories in the future because, I'm very allegorical. That's how I am. Fuck you if you don't like it. Here we go. And life experience is most likely more important than what you can read or see in a documentary. You just use that information to back up what you already know and experience. But that's neither here nor there. So they do that racial schizophrenia quite often. And it's very confusing. But you have to keep your eye on the mark. What is their goal? If their goal is to fuck you over, keep your eye on that mark. Don't let them do the, hey, brother, man, we need to, go back to Africa. Hey, brother, man, we need to say, fuck it. Let's just let them take our corner store, but we don't need anything. We could do our own thing. Because that's what they do in their countries. That's just what they do, And, the key example of that is most likely Marcus Garvey. He did a lot of racial schizophrenic shit, He did the same shit. So it's actually a part of their culture. And that's why their first international musician was biracial. Mr. Bob Marley. Loved the man, but why did he take off instead of Peter Tosh? Now I'm giving y'all some key shit. You better understand this. There was a reason Bob Marley took off, or let me bring it to today. There's a reason people know Bob Marley more than they know Peter Tosh. There is a reason, okay? Because that racial schizophrenia. You know what I'm saying? They'll say one thing. They'll say one thing about, especially their islands. They'll say, oh, the outsiders are controlling their island. But then they'll serve those same outsiders the best Bahama Mama while they vacation on their island. It's very peculiar, and I understand how business works. I understand how business works. I just said that a second ago. You do have to show discretion. You do have to have some type of patience. You do have to, have some fucking common sense. But at some point, like I said, you have to say, fuck that shit. There's a limit to everything in life. I don't give a fuck what it is. Shit. You could drink too much water and die. That's just what it is, okay? But I'm done here. I hope DJ Vladimir lets us stay up. He doesn't serve up a strike, Hopefully, let me take this down. We're done with Brother Marquise. Brother Marquise, love you, brother, but we're here for you, brother. But I hope DJ Vladimir keeps us up. If he doesn't, it's either for monetary reasons, which it shouldn't be, because I'm not making money off this shit. I'm just doing this shit to do it. I'm doing this, at least I'm finally doing this after just, going on panels and shit like that. I want to have a voice. I know my voice is worthwhile. But for DJ Vladimir, the other reason he may not want to keep this up, because he's also a first-generation immigrant. He's actually a key example of the first immigrants we came across, just fucking us over. He made a fortune off of fucking us over. And he knows this shit. And it's now coming like people are really accepting that as a reality. And his format gave birth to people like DJ Academics, who's also a black immigrant. You get what I'm saying? And they don't give a fuck, okay? They're actually playing along with this game to keep us in a certain position, possibly. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but possibly. And if that's not the case, Vladimir, if he ever comes across this video, he'll let it stay up, because this is really just for it's just an educational tool for Black Americans and for Black immigrants too. Because, like I said, I'm half and half, man, and there's no type of identity crisis over here, partner. Just in case people want to misunderstand me, it's just that I just know at this point, Black immigrants are more in the wrong than Black Americans. And I say this because there was a time where, I would have to play as an intermediary between the two. Like if we're out hanging out and something happens, I will let them know, like both sides, whether it was like a beef, I will let them know, like, hey, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, that's not right. And we get back to smoking a blunt, tapping the 40, hanging out, going to the city, whatever, man. This is with friends, associates I will meet while I'm out hanging out in New York, particularly. Not really on the West Coast, but New York particularly. So that's how I feel at this point. Black immigrants are just, they're just running amok, especially in the Northeast. But that's it. I think I'm done. But like I said before, if they hit you with that bullshit Pan African babble, you know what they hit them with, right? You know what they hit them with? Screenshot it, baby. Hit them with that. Just hit them with that. Just hit them with the Peter Pan Africanism. They hit you with that bullshit, And you'll know more of this bullshit if you tune in or you continue to come back. God bless you and have a good day. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night.